What's up, guys? This is Gnarly Charlie. Today I'm going to be doing a top 10 non-metal favorite albums, bands, mainly primarily bands because I don't really have a particular album of these artists. It's just that these artists are usually so good. I don't really care if they're metal or not because they're just that fucking amazing. Anyway, we're listening to For Therese. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's a Canadian-French band. They just re-released this. It was the latest album. They just re-released it because the first couple, like 1,000 copies or whatever, sold out. But they reissued it, and I bought the thing, which I'm happy for because it's a kick-ass band. First one on the list, as a bass player, Primus has got to be on the list. Like I said, I didn't really pick a particular album by these guys. I just randomly grabbed one. If you like really goofy sounding vocals with, it almost sounds like Weird Al with a really good bass sound. It sounds really good. I love it. And I think the guitar player, if it's still the same guitar player, he was also in Possessed, I believe. So, a little knowledge for you if you don't know that. Second one, we have another bassy sounding artist, Armin van Buuren. He does a radio show in Europe called The State of Trance, and it's basically a lot of electronic based stuff. As a bass player, I'm a sucker for that, and I'm also a really big sucker for melodies. So the non-cheesy sounding pop songs that they have here just kick ass. There's no particular state of trance that I really enjoy. I like them all. I've heard a majority of his stuff from Spotify and iTunes and YouTube from over the years. But if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely give Armin van Buuren a listen because even his solo stuff is good. I mean, he's just an all-around good taste in dance music, I guess. Third, we have Mr. Bungle. This is one of the Mike Patton projects that I wouldn't really consider them metal. I'd consider them more avant-garde metal or rock. I mean, because it's not like, crunching guitars, talking about death and everything else you normally hear in metal. But California is probably one of the better albums, at least in my opinion. It's got Sweet Charity, Retro Vertigo, Gollum 2, the Bionic Vapor Boy, Goodbye Sober Day, a couple other good ones in there. But like I said, definitely if you're into Mike Patton at all, definitely give Mr. Bungle a listen to at some point in your life because it kicks ass. Next, we're gonna get the redneck choice out of the way. Number 4, we've got Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's a given. I live in the ass end of nowhere in southern Illinois, and if there's one thing that everyone likes around here, even if you don't like redneck country music, is you're gonna end up liking Lynyrd Skynyrd at some point in your life. I basically grew up listening to this stuff, and it made me want to pick up a guitar the first time. But obviously other things have conspired, obviously because I'm wearing the Dying Fetus t-shirt, and I've been in multiple metal bands, but Lynyrd Skynyrd is still up there for me on the instrument scale because it's got a big special place in my heart of where I grew up at. So number 4, Lynyrd Skynyrd. Number 5, the Bloodhound Gang. I remember hearing these guys when I was like 9, maybe 10. I wasn't really big into buying CDs or any kind of music at that point because I didn't really have a lot of money when I was 9 or 10. But I remember hearing some of the goofy songs, and like, Mama's Boy, 3.14, Yummy Down on This, The Battle of Chasey Lane, the porn star. And just sitting there thinking, like, what the fuck am I listening to? This is the greatest shit in the world. These guys are, truly funny. Evil Jared Hasselhoff, the bass player, just standing there like a boss. Just like, you can't fuck with Evil Jared Hasselhoff. Fuck. But, the Bloodhound Gang, definitely a funny-ass band. And I believe, if you ever watched Viva La Bam, they were on Viva La Bam quite a bit, so, you might know them from there. Next, like I said previously, I have been a bass player for quite some time. One of those bigger influences, Bootsy Collins. I love, and I mean really love, disco and funk music. And Bootsy Collins is, in my opinion, the godfather, or at least one of the godfathers of funk. He was in Parliament and Funkadelic, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe at one point he stepped in for Earth, Wind, and Fire and a few other little projects, but they weren't like permanent things. But still, his solo career is pretty kick-ass. And if you ever get a chance, at least listen to the name is Bootsy Baby, or Stretching Out My Rubber Band. Both of those are killer songs, and if you don't fall in love with it after those two songs, then it's just not meant to be. I think this is 7, and I'm probably going to get some shit for it, but I really don't care. Before I say anything, though, I am in no means at all a juggalo. But Twisted. These guys are similar to ICP in the style of music that they play, but I find these guys a little bit more serious than ICP. I'm not a big fan of ICP at all. In fact, I don't think, other than the one album, The Great Milenko, I can't take any of the music seriously. But these guys, I've listened to them album after album after album, and am still finding good stuff from it. But I think they did a collaboration with somebody. I'm not sure if it's on this album or not, but they do collaborations with, not like 50 Cent and Eminem style rappers, but definitely some famous, like 3 6 Mafia, I believe, at one point. But, if you're into rap and the darker horrorcore rap, give Twisted a listen. They're actually serious. Back to number 8, we have Funk Again, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I remember growing up, riding around my uncle all the time, and hearing Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Kiss, Black Sabbath, a lot of early stuff from different bands on classic rock radio and stuff like that. So Earth, Wind, and Fire ended up becoming one of those staples for me that really stood out as a great band overall. And they've got a lot of great singles. And in fact, in college, I actually had to do a medley of like 3 or 4 Earth, Wind, and Fire songs, and I remember being so excited about it because they're one of my favorite bands. Anyway, number 9, back on the heavier side a little bit, we've got the Misfits. Now, I am a sucker for goth music, horror punk, I guess, if you will, but a lot more goth. I love the 69 Eyes. I love him. Typo Negative is literally my favorite band. But the Misfits was the start of all of that. Glenn Danzig, hell of a vocalist. I turned into a Martian, Vampira, Mommy Can't Go Out Killing Tonight, Skulls, Astro Zombies, all good stuff. But I mean, come on. If you're on my channel and you haven't heard of the Misfits, you're doing something wrong. Number 1. This artist, well, this band, is kind of a representation of one particular artist that is my all-time favorite. This guy can literally come out with anything and it be a gem in my eyes, because it's just so calming and so deep with the lyrics that it's just that good, I guess. I kind of hard coming up with words for it, but I'm talking about Sugar. Now, in case you don't know who Sugar is, it is Bob Mould, who also used to be in a band called Husker Du back in the 80s. And the whole thing sounds a lot like college rock, where it's kind of got the loud guitars, and you can just barely hear the vocals over the guitars. And it's kind of more of a soothing punk than a, in-your-face crazy punk. But he's got a very successful solo career. I think he was on a Foo Fighters album at one point. But like I said, I've got about 4 Sugar albums, 3 of his solo albums, and I think 4 or 5 Husker Du albums. And like I said, every single one of them is a gem in their own way. There's not a single terrible song among the bunch. But that's my top 10 non-metal albums, and I hope you enjoyed. If you do, please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff, and until then, keep it gnarly.